All right. Yeah, I guess we can start. Yeah. Welcome to Cologne, or I should say actually welcome to Objective-Cologne, just like I said last year. This is Alte Versteigerungshalle, it's very high, and if you want to go to the top, I was told I have a more stable internet, so we will see if it's true. And anyway, tonight at 7 p.m., not before please, do whatever you want between 5 and 7, I don't know. On the Thursday, we're going to be there for Objective-Cologne. This year's conference wouldn't have been possible. Last year it was possible, but this year's conference wasn't possible without my good friend Steve, Scotty, the original conference MC. I please welcome Scotty.
They don't just come on stage and suddenly say, and here's the iPhone 5S, and it's really... When it comes to being app developers, why should you care about community? Okay, let's start with the question, what is community? A good place to start is unless they have something in common. I mean, if you're trying to relate people who are totally create a community around your Apple service, you may not, but I'm telling you, you want to create a community around your Apple service. Make sure everyone wins. Let's have a look at the structure of community. We've got about 10 minutes left. So we need achievers, we need superstars, we need achievers. This is how, of course, gathering is conferences. So, you know, we're here at Objective-Cologne, but a few people know Peter Hosey. Okay, let's just look at Peter Hosey on Stack Overflow. Well, that's not the official documentation. You can't put that on this forum, I'm afraid. No, you need... And because you have to have it in any OS, a keynote.
Now I'm going to ask something snarky. No. Do you have any quick example?
All right, very quickly, I need to mention...
There are amazing new technologies that have been developed during the past. Every business, every company, every market has nucleation. Today, it's a little bit different if you want to raise money for a huge... So these days, another financing method has become fair. In 1928, Alexander Fleming, insurance companies would like us to think it works something. You probably also have thought about how you can change the way you think. There's something called the Baker paradox. So this doesn't only apply to professional lives. I end by saying, no matter if what.
Before introducing Alex, I just want to drop attention.
My favorite question is always why. And so you have... So a while ago in code, going back, Apple looked at garbage collection. The best of garbage collection and memory. Another thing that we have is sometimes, and that's known from other sciences, the auto-release pool was something very, very... This is also important. Where does ARC fail us? ARC is not... There are a number of little ARC details. One of them is be careful.
You mentioned the move R7, R7.
So I was wondering, because yeah, and I had a second, maybe more complicated question.
You mentioned in your example about the ID and
did I understand it?
One last note about this, the compiler doesn't warn you. I found a problem. Yeah, come on, let's go. My yearly...
So, my talk is about product design. For me, I have this process. Like, I start with an idea and I make something that people want. They want to use your product because it's time to focus on UX design. And God, a few years ago, make your mockup become a real app. App Cooker, or when this is done, you can go to the code. But code And as we are here on, let's say, do not forget the localization for your app. I'm sure we spent some hours here in the room just take as much feedback as possible, always. It's
Next on the agenda is the engine. I always wanted to know what the C.
Charlton.
Charlton.
Like Heston, Charlton Heston. Meet grandma. Oh, yeah. I would like you to meet a dear friend of mine. I would like you to meet Marcy. There was one rogue division of Canon that decided that they were going to dropped it into extra slide, and what do you know? It actually loaded up. Now, it is the whole story of it kind of reminds me of that famous scene in Monty Python where the Black Knight is being attaching it to it, and then if I ask my brother to do the same thing, he says, well, I'll tell you why I choked you, because you this one called Showrunner. And Showrunner is this app I wrote for a company called Watch. And so you don't ever want to do this. You don't ever want to leave your poor user stick, but you set the placeholder image and up comes your view. And one is that UI web view is this kind of black box. It has all these kind of the app is supposed to do. And what does the app do? Oh, can't show you. And that reminds me, it's time for not a commercial break, but a pub. One of the things that struck me about coming here to Cologne is that you exit I think it's important to be grateful because, in reality, we're the luckiest people. So I brought with me from sunny, perfect San Francisco, from a small...
John.
I forgot to thank one last person. Daniel, thank you so much.
All right, let's start the second day with someone. Welcome back to Objective-Cologne. This is day number 2, and the first thing, yes, Martin Winter now has moved to England, so that's the reason why. Let's move to the actual meet. I'm speaking about your talk.
So I'm going to talk about high-performance UI kit, or as you probably know it, UI kit. They had the power of the enigma. The information about who is and is not allowed to fly on airplanes, or who can fly on airplanes, it's a lot of time. In fact, if you look at the list, I don't need to tell you guys how to do premature optimization is the root of all evil. But that's only 90. So what do you do when you don't know how to make any faster? And this happens a lot. Graphics are one of these notorious real-time operations, and Lemur's chemistry was memory bound. It wasn't the only problem. Now, of course, there is one other kind of binding, and we shipped. But for what? Leather is harmless. Leather is silly. Leather is stupid.
You mentioned if you have this usual problem in instruments that you said that you should invest 50% of your budget into marketing.
Let's go for a short break, like 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll go on with Altwin.
What I want to focus first in this talk is about there's a bunch of tools I make use of, and I want to highlight a few of stealing from the OS. In a lot of cases, there's of course the in iOS 6 Apple there are of course a lot more tools, completely different topic. UI buttons, UI web view. I used UI web view. Table view performance. It's always yeah. For cell drawing actually there are also
all right. Thank you very much. Round of applause. We don't have time anymore.
Yeah.
I'm here to ask, are you making a 5-star app, as it says up here? Now, I've no doubt that you are, even when you just first open the app. So this is Plants vs. Zombies 2. I'm sure a lot of you will recognize it. And while we're talking about things that bug people, just going to throw in, if you're going to make changes to standard iOS interface elements, then an interface can be as good as a feature, and I'm particularly talking about interaction. And then sometimes you'll have features that you've put in, but you can definitely get away with being utilitarian at times. On the left here we have, and it's partly about just not letting people, and all of the examples I've shown you at some point, but you may just think I'm wrong, which is fine. We'll be glad to get that fixed, and hopefully that'll bring our review averages up.
I do not understand this argument. It makes no fucking sense to me. Shut up.
Hackers can turn your computer into a bomb. Is you always assume everyone is evil. Everyone is conspiring. Never use these. There's very little point. I think it's this one. So this is basically another common aspect in iOS apps are API calls. So calls to remote systems, which is just, if you're a bank, you should have known. So inter-app, and you could use that to transfer data. Never do this. I can execute arbitrary queries on this database. How do you fix this? You use, and this annoyed me as well, so I started working on how to store iosdata.com.
I've only ever seen one better security presentation, and that was at Apple by Quinn. So.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, or maybe I should say, this was my first computer. And it used also in the next year, I was on the team that built the famous 32-bit iOS, which is going away soon. Inside the contents folders, you basically need to call seccode copy, abandon all practices you have learned. You need to use globals, you see the magic part over there. There is no.
Who had the very first Mac in Brazil if you had the second one? And did you
it was
steal?
A guy,
did you